ChazRootNotes, episode 2, scene 1, take 47.
All right, can we get this one right? I'm not wearing the hat. It keeps falling off and wrecking the takes. I mean, it doesn't fit. It looks silly, and it's not even the Tom Baker 4th Doctor hat, so...
Where's the slate?
I got it. Ready?
Thanks, Chaz. And action.
Oh, hello. I'm the doctor.
Cut.
No, no, no. Who writes this cringy crap?
Okay, press for the blooper reel.
Greetings and welcome to episode 2 of ChazRootNotes. I'm your host, Chaz from Electric Owlworks. In this installment, we'll be covering Varispeed and play rate techniques that mess with the fabric of space-time. Here's a bit of background on the episode. Back on July 8th, 2020, Selim from Mixdown Online had an excellent live YouTube stream with Mike and Navina titled Mixing Low End, 5 Tips You Need to Know. You should check it out and I'll put a link up here. This discussion had a lot of really good tips covering how you can better dial in the low end into your mixes. So during the stream, viewers were able to ask questions and share tips in the live video chat forum. And because I can't keep my big mouth shut, I shared the following insight. Here's a crazy low end trick. Play back your audio at 2 times speed without pitch preservation. Everything will be an octave higher and easier to hear, especially on speakers or phones with rolled off bass. I thought I'd share this because it can be very helpful, for example, if you have speakers or headphones that aren't capable of accurately reproducing audio on the lower end of the spectrum. So the idea is that if you double the playback speed without maintaining pitch preservation, everything will play back 1 octave higher. It's science. That means that sound, let's say at 25 hertz, will now be at 50 hertz, which may make it more audible and easier to hear in some listening situations. And if you want, you can even double what you've already doubled and play back 4 times faster. This will make that 25 hertz sound really audible at 100 hertz. Everything will be 2 octaves higher. Fun with physics. Anyway, Chris shared my tip with his audience, and Mike said, it sounds like the Warren thing. It sounds like the Warren-Huart thing, but the opposite. So it turns out they were referencing a tip Warren shared in his video from June 22nd, 2020, titled 5 Mixed Tips No One Uses, where he discusses slowing down your playback rate to better hear high-end frequencies. You should check this one out too. Anyway, while hearing Chris and Mike mention Warren, it dawned on me. Damn, Warren has a production technique named after him now. Like the Glenn Johns drum miking technique, the Michael Brower browerizing multi-bus technique, the Sylvia Massey garden hose technique, or the Andrew Shep's rear bus technique. We now have the Warren-Huart play rate technique. So Warren has successfully summited Mount Awesome and joined an elite group of audio engineering and production legends who have stuff named after them. This is pretty darn cool. Wicked cool, in fact. So let me be the first to raise a congratulatory cup of PG tips to you, Warren. Congratulations, good sir. Huzzah! I mean, seriously, if you think about it, the ability to play sounds from the past that were not audible when they were made or recorded is some crazy Back to the Future wizard stuff. This sort of thing wasn't even possible 100 or 120 years ago. It probably would have been considered witchcraft. Now, Warren is certainly not a practitioner of the dark arts. However, an anonymous Canadian inside source who did not wish to be named did say, "Dude, he's a freaking Time Lord." All right, enough of my yapping. So in this episode, we'll cover the newly coined Warren-Huart trick, as well as my reverse version from the upside down that raises sound to the surface from the deepest depths of the audio spectrum. We'll also go over some Varispeed hijinks based on classic tape techniques. I've got a few project sessions set up that I'll be sharing with you. I'll be using Reaper, but these techniques and concepts are applicable across all DAWs. All right, let's jump into full screen mode and start with some Varispeed fun, where we'll pick up from where we left off at the end of ChazRootNotes episode 1. Here we go. Okay, so here we are in the session from last week's episode, Freebies and Beats. If you didn't see it, I'll post some links. And in a nutshell, what we did is I took a dry drum loop that I created. I did a whole bunch of crazy stuff to it to make it not sound dry. I was going for a sort of Led Zeppelin-esque sound, sort of inspired by When the Levee Breaks. It's not exact, but you get the idea. And what I did was after doing all the tinkering, I then printed a copy of the original loop as a reference mix. I then printed what I did with all this nonsense here, and then the cliffhanger of last week's episode was the mystery track, which is here. So let me toggle over to the timeline view, and here are the 3 tracks here. So here's the original track, here is the original track plus all the nonsense I did to it, and then here's the mystery track, and perhaps you can see some differences already. So why don't we play this back, and what I will do is toggle between all 3 and listen carefully and see if you can tell what I did. And the most important thing to listen to was the difference between this last track here, Print Slow, and the other 2. That's a hint. So's the name of the track. Here we go. Okay, could you hear the difference? Could you see the difference? Well, hopefully you noticed 1 or 2 things. The first thing you could have noticed was visually, and as you can see, the mystery track from last week, this track, if you look at where the waveforms start and stop, oh geez, it's a little longer than this one. So here's the original track up here, here's the one that I did the craziness to, and then here's the mystery track. And it's longer. And I made it longer by messing with the speed or the play rate. So according to what I've dug up, when Led Zeppelin was recording When the Levee Breaks, they had originally played the song in G. If you play it back and listen to it, it sounds like it's an F, 2 half steps down. Now they did this by Jimmy Page playing with the Varispeed or the tape speed on the reel-to-reel deck, and he dropped it down enough to make the G into an F. So there are all kinds of charts and things online that I will try to find links to and post. And these charts tell you how much you need to increase or decrease your play rate in order to transpose between different notes. So in our example, where you want to go down to an F from a G, which is 2 half steps, you need to drop your speed by 10.91%. It's physics. So 100 minus 10.91 would be 89.09. So what you can do is go to your play rate in most DAWs. You should be able to click on a play rate or change it somewhere. And this 1.0, we're going to make that 0.8909. So let me type that in. And enter it, and now I've just changed the play rate to 0.8909. So let's go to the original track and just play that back, and as you'll hear, and if you remember, it's going to sound slower than the original. So here we go. Definitely slower. So the buttons I've created in Reaper, one of them is play rate 100. Let's just put that back to get to normal. There we go. You can see my play rate is back to 1. And let's play it back again. And it's back to normal. So the takeaway from this is that if you mess with the play rate and you lower the play rate, you can get some really cool sounds out of it. Really magical things start to happen. If you do it, I suppose, in moderation or with what works for the song, it can be very musical. Now, certainly playing with tape speeds was nothing new to Jimmy Page, and, Les Paul, and going back to Epiphone wax cylinders and old 78s and 45s and 33 vinyl and tape and reel-to-reel. People have been experimenting and tinkering with playback speed for as long as we've been able to do so. And when used creatively, you can get some really cool results. So let's jump into another project for some more examples. And here we are. Okay, in this project, I have 3 examples of messing with the fabric of space-time for you. Let me toggle over to the timeline view here. The first one is another drum loop, just to reinforce what we've already done. I've got a drum loop, I did some stuff to it, and then we'll mess with the speed just to see what it does. And then I have a track labeled as 19 kilohertz. This is a 19K test tone that I have printed. And then I have one called 30 hertz. This is a 30 hertz test tone that I have, again, printed. Let's go back to the mixer view here. Okay, so as you can see, the play rate is 1. So everything's going to play normally. We're not doing anything crazy yet. And let me just play this drum loop, which is different than the last one, just to give you an idea of what it sounds like, and then we'll mess with it. Here we go. Okay, now let's just put some effects on it, just to dirty it up. Okay, cool. Now, let's mess with the fabric of space-time. In keeping with the Zeppelin when the levee breaks thing, let's drop it down 2 half steps. So I'm going to change my play rate from 100% or 1 to 0.8909. Hit enter, and let's play it back. Okay, hopefully you can hear the difference. So again, really cool things happen when you mess with reality. So for the next example, let's go to this 19K test tone. This is the Warren Huart trick that Chris and Mike were talking about, where you slow things down and all of a sudden things that were really high up in the sonic spectrum become easier to hear, because when you cut the play rate in half, it's going to drop everything down. Okay, so what I'm going to do is play back this 19 kilohertz test tone, and let me turn on FabFilter Pro Q3. And what's going to happen is you should see that tone showing up over here. Here we go. So did you hear anything? If you got really good speakers, maybe. So they say the average range of human hearing goes from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. The sad reality is that as you start getting into your teens and through your 20s, 30s, and older, your range of hearing will decrease. And if you don't protect your hearing in certain environments, it can bring premature harm to it. So always wear ear protection. So this trick, the Warren Huart technique, is actually really good if you have speakers that don't reproduce high-end frequencies, or if the upper range of your hearing is gone. It'll bring things down to a point where you can more easily hear them. Now, I think Warren did a test in his video where it was around a 12K test tone, which was pretty audible, and I think he was trying to mimic a problem that was in a console or something like that, or in a preamp, and when he slowed it down in half, all of a sudden that 12K tone became this very obvious 6K tone. So in our case, I went for a 19K tone just to make a point here, because your speakers might not play it. You may not even be able to hear it. If we cut the play rate in half of 19 is 9.5. So let's do that. I've got my preset up here for play rate at 50 with the pitch preservation turned off. And you can see it changed my play rate here. So let's play that back and let's see what it sounds like now. Right at 9.5. So let me toggle it back again and play it at 19. At half speed, or 9.5. Okay, hopefully you see the benefit of this. Thank you, Warren. It's a really cool trick. Now, the mix tip that I shared with Chris and Mike during their live stream was, as Mike noted, the Warren thing, but opposite. The same concept will work in reverse. So what I've got here is a 30 hertz tone, test tone, that we've printed, and when I play it back at normal play rate, which is right here at 1.0, play rate 100%. Let me play that, and depending on the speakers you have, you will or won't be able to hear it. So here we go. So perhaps you have speakers or headphones that are capable of playing that low. Maybe not, but here's where this trick comes in handy. So what we're going to do is we are going to increase the play rate from 100% to 200%. And I have my quick preset button here, so let's do that. Now I'm at a play rate of 2, and let's play that 30 hertz tone at twice the playback speed without maintaining pitch preservation and see what we get. Were you able to hear that? That was playing back at twice the speed, so the 30 hertz tone went up to 60 hertz. Okay, say for example you have some speakers that will play 30 hertz. They won't play 60 hertz, so you can't hear anything down there. You've doubled the playback rate and you still can't hear it. So let's double it again. Okay, so let's play back that 30 hertz test tone at a play rate of 400% or a play rate of 4.0. We'll keep an eye on it with our trusty FabFilter Pro Q3 and see what that 30 hertz tone does. Here we go. All right, that made a huge difference. Okay, hopefully that all made sense and you heard that. So if you happen to be a Reaper user and you're interested in setting this sort of thing up, go into your Actions menu and Show Action List. And what I did here is I created some custom actions. So you can see right here, EOW play rate 50, play rate 100%, play rate 200%. Let's go into the custom play rate here. I'm going to highlight it, and we're going to edit the action just to see what's in there. And as you can see, it's sort of a macro. What I did was I told it to use this action, transport, toggle, preserve pitch and audio items when changing master play rate. That way, it does not preserve the pitch. It shuts that off, which is what you want when you're doing this sort of thing. And then, of course, I used a script, and you don't have to use a script, but there's other actions that you could use, but I set the master play rate to 50%. And similar thing with 200%. Let's take a look at what's in that action. And in that action, I did the same thing. I toggled preserve pitch and audio items when changing master play rate. And the reason why I did that was because in my preferences, I have preserve pitch turned on by default. So if I change play rate, it preserves the pitch. But when you're doing this sort of stuff, you don't want to preserve pitch. So I'm toggling it off. And then, of course, I'm setting my master play rate with this script to 200%. Let's cancel that. Now, if you wanted to, with any of these actions, you could create a shortcut here with combinations of keystrokes and mouse buttons. So if I wanted to, let's say, have my 50% play rate on a keystroke, I'd highlight that, click Add, and then I can type in key or mouse controller things, and let's just try something here, like we're going to try Command Option 5 and see if that works. Alright, so Command Option 5 will toggle for me. Let's just make sure nothing else is already assigned to that. Let me hit OK. Oh, it took it. Look at that. That's how you would set a key command to a custom macro that you set up that's built from actions that are already in Reaper. The only other Reaper thing I would add here, without getting too into it, is that if you have the opportunity, you could add in extensions. So there's the SWS extensions, they're a free download. There's scripts, there's the repack stuff, and there's tons of videos online on these things. There's a lot of things in there that'll expand your creative capabilities and let you further mess with the fabric of space-time. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I do hope that you visit again. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy what I'm doing. Leave a comment down below if you have any music production insights you'd like to share with the community, or if you have any topics you'd like to see me cover in future episodes. In the meantime, I encourage you all to explore, discover, and create. Stay busy and productive on your artistic journey. And as always, this is Chaz from Electric Works. Peace, love, and Ringo. Be good to each other. I'm out. Bye.